Hello, and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to finish working on our image from Coloring Fantasy 3 by Scot Howden. I've been using the Brutfuner 520 pencils, and since we last left, as you can see, if you watched the last video on this, I've done quite a bit more off camera so that we could finish everything on camera together today, and so that you could see how it's going to look when it's completely finished, because by the time we're done it will be completely finished. So we are going to start with our grass. Now in the last video I showed you how I was going to do the individual bushes, and I did pick out a different color combination for the grass, and I did most of it off camera, but I left this section down here so that we could do that together. This section here, I decided I didn't want all of that behind her to be greenery, so I decided to make this section here and across here be water. So I painted this little area here in with some of my metallic watercolor paint, and I left this one empty so that we could do that together on camera as well, and I can show you what I used and everything for that. So I'm going to zoom you in, get situated, and we'll get going now. But before I do that, I'm going to go ahead and show you these colors that I've chosen for the grass. And you'll kind of have to excuse my voice. It's part of why I haven't filmed in so long, is I have been sick, and so my voice isn't quite, it's still not great, and I may do some coughing and stuff, and if so, I apologize in advance. But so I have greener pastures. Do not know how to say that exactly, but so it's probably wrong, but piquant green, that's what I'm going to call that, garden green, and macaw green. So again, I will zoom you in and get situated, and we'll get to coloring. So I'm going to move some things around, and I am going to adjust the camera a little so that hopefully you'll be able to see what I'm doing. I apologize for all the movement. Just trying to get this in shot where you can see. I am going to turn this page just a little for this part, but I'll straighten it back out when we go to do the other parts. Okay, so real simply, we're going to start with our greener pastures, which is our darkest color. And again, this is from the Brutfuner 520 set. And what I'm going to do is at the base down here, the bottom of this section, I'm going to start with my darkest color with medium to heavy pressure. And then as I work my way up, I'm going to lighten up my pressure as I go until it's barely touching the page. Now it does look, this color combination does look similar to the combination that we used for the bushes, but it is, there is a difference in it, but in the color of the two combinations. Move this up a little. Not sure if you were even able to see what I was doing there. Right, and again, just fading that out. And then we'll go over that with this one here, the piquant green. I'm not sure whether I said that in the last video or not. I probably did because I say it all the time. But I really, really, really love these pencils. And I do highly recommend these. If you don't already have them. And if you are looking for another set to pick up, I do highly recommend these. They're pretty soft and vibrant. Now the set is kind of pricey. However, you are getting 520 pencils. So going by the amount of pencils to the price, it really is a more budget friendly set. But yeah, I think that these are great. They blend very, very well. Let's see, I'm gonna go in between here too. Okay. And then we'll go in with our next color, which is the garden green. And we'll go over what we put down. And just keep doing the same thing, work our way up, starting out with medium to heavy pressure, and as you get closer to the top, lighten up your pressure until you're just barely touching that page. And there are lots of other ways that you could do this grass. I mean, you could try to flick in little lines that make it look textured to make it look more like grass. If you chose to. Okay, now we're going in with our macaw green. Or, I mean, there's just many different ways that you could do this. And I'm just taking this macaw green over everything, making sure to get rid of all the white of the paper, blending all those colors together. Now you, of course, could go over this as many times as you like, and you can change up if you feel like you don't have enough of your darker colors. You could, of course, deepen up those shadows, or however you feel until you get it to look the way that you are happy with it. And me, I'm pretty content with this for the moment, and I want to make sure that I have time to completely finish this on camera today, so we're going to move on to the next part. I think I'm going to save her dress for last, so we'll do all the other little elements first. So let me rearrange here. Now I know, here, let me zoom out for just a second. I know that these flowers, or at least to me anyway, appear to be poppies. They look like poppies, and poppies are normally like a red or reddish orange shade, but that's fine. I wanted mine this pink color combination, so that's what I chose to do. If you want to do yours in different colors, of course, go ahead and do that. But that's part of the fun thing about this hobby, is that you can use whatever colors you want to use. You don't have to color something the way that it would typically be found in nature or whatever. You can color it however you choose to color it. So we're going to zoom back in, and we're going to start on this flower right here. And the colors that I chose for the flowers are, let's see if you can see this, bellflower, cyclamen, moonlight mauve, and sweet lilac. Okay, so I'm going to start with my bellflower, and I'm going to go along where this petal overlaps the other petal, and I'm going to medium pressure and then fade that out. And then let me sharpen this real quickly, because it does have that little piece that's curled over. So now I'm going to take the bellflower and I'm going to go along, try to see if I can get this where you can see what I'm actually doing here. I'm going to go along this top edge of this part that's overlapped, and just put a little bit of this bellflower right there. Okay. And then where this petal comes over these, I'm going to put some more here and just fade it out. I'm not too worried about these little spots, because I will put some white gel pen on those in a little bit when we are finished. Just going to fade that. Okay. And then anywhere where there is lines that the artist drew in, I'm going to put some of this bellflower along those lines. And just leave a feathered area around the line. Okay, and then this one, where it's curled over, I'm going to take the bellflower along this far edge. Just like that. And I'm also going to put a little bit around the center part here and fade that out. Okay. Next, we're going to take the cyclamen. I'm probably not saying that correct either, but that's okay. We're just going to go over all of the bellflower, extend it a little, and fade it out. And then I'm just going to kind of lightly go over these lines where we put some of that. Next, we are going to use our Moonlight Mauve and do the same thing. Just repeat the last step, go over what's there and extend it further. Just always want to make sure that you leave a soft feathered-like edge for your next color to blend into. It just makes it easier to get them to blend and not be such a harsh transition. Okay. All right. And then lastly, over everything, we will use this Sweet Lilac. And I'm going to actually get this a quick sharpen real fast. Okay. Again, using this Sweet Lilac to blend the colors together even more and to make sure that there's no white spot left on the paper. Okay, there is our flower. Now, what I did for the other flowers was I have this yellow glitter gel pen, and you can use any one that you have, and filled in the center here, the very center, with that. And then I took my white jelly roll. I have the 10, and let me make sure that this is flowing. Alright. Then I just took my white jelly roll and I went over all the little dots on the flower. Just like that. And then for her, like for her headband here, I took the same green combination that I'm going to show you for the leaves and colored this area in, and then it had a bunch of those small circles drawn on there. So I just, again, took my jelly roll and I went over and filled in all of the circles to kind of make it look a little bit like baby's breath or something like that. So, and speaking of the colors for the leaves, we'll go ahead and do a leaf together. A couple different ones here. I'm gonna move this, adjust things a little so you can see this leaf down here. Okay, so, and the colors for the leaves I chose were hedge green, green tea, and dew-kissed. So I'm gonna take my hedge green and I'm gonna go along this center vein that's been drawn on the leaf. Let me see. Make sure you can see what I'm doing here. And then feather that out. Hold on, I need to adjust this. I apologize, but I do need to adjust this camera a little bit because I think it's going blurry on you again. I think it's a little too close to my hand. I'm gonna try that and see if that helps any. But we're just gonna feather this out, and anywhere where there's these little scalloped or curved edges of the leaf, I'm gonna take and put a little bit up towards that, just a little. Just kind of like that. And then we'll go over top of that with our green tea. And right over top of that, okay. And then lastly, our dew-kissed. We'll go over top of all of it. This one does need a quick sharpen. I'm so unprepared today. Okay. Excuse me. Alright, so now we're just going to go over all of this, fill in all the white space with the dew-kissed, and use it to blend the other colors together. And then I'm going to take my darkest color, which is the hedge green, and I'm going to go back in here. I'm going to put the shadow along where this flower's overlapping it. And then I'm going to go along the center vein again and extend it out just a little. Just like that. And where is my brush? There we go. And then go back over top with the green tea. Back over top with the, just a little. And then I'm going to take the dew-kissed back over all of it again. Just to make sure I don't leave any harsh lines on the leaf. just like that. And now, let's see, zoom you out just a little bit. Now I'm going to use those same 3 colors and do this bud right here in the vein. So I'm going to try to do this with it zoomed out a little, just because the stem comes down so far. But what I'm going to do is down here, where the stem goes behind these leaves, I'm going to take my hedge green and I'm going to fill that in just solidly and then fade that out as I go up the stem. And then I'm going to come up here where the bud is, and again, I'm going to start with heavy pressure, solidly coloring that in, and then lighten up my pressure as I go down the stem. Okay, and then next will be our green tea. Go right over top of that, bring that down, and then feather that out. Do the same thing down here, go over top of where we put the hedge green, and then gradually fade that out. And lastly, take our Dew Kissed and go over everything and fill in the last part of that stem. Now you could have tried, if you choose to, you could always try to go along the edges and have your darkest color along each edge and work your way inside to try to give it a more 3-dimensional look. However, it is a very skinny area, so I chose to do mine the other way. Okay, and now I'll zoom you back in for this bud. We're going to take the hedge green, and I'm going to go around the outside edge, all the way around, and along the line right there. And then I'm going to go back around and leave a little feathered area, and back across there as well. Now go over all of that with the green tea. And do the same. And then over top of everything with the Dew Kissed. And I'm going to go back over top with the hedge green around the outside edges and try to darken that up a little bit. And just like that. Okay, so there is our little bud, and then we have one more type of leaf up here, and for these what I did is same colors as before, but the way I did these was I started with my hedge green right here where it meets the stem, heavy pressure, medium to heavy pressure, and work my way up, and as I do, lighten up the pressure and fade that out. is we're going to do a gradient on there. And so now I'm going to take my green tea and I'm going to go over that. And extend it and fade it. And lastly, I do kissed. Just like that. And again, you can always take your hedge green and darken that up at the edge if you choose to. Just like that. Okay. Don't have a whole lot left. Okay, so next I think we will come down here and we'll do these little flowers here. And for those, I chose to use the same teal combination as we're going to use for her dress, which is tile blue, ceramic, and dusty aqua. So we're going to take the tile blue and go, let me look, where it meets the stem, and then lighten that up as you go down, just like that, on each section. Some of them have 2 sections, some of them only shows the front section. Just like that, and then we'll go over that with the ceramic. And fade that down. Now these are very tiny, so there really isn't a whole lot of room. And you could always use fewer colors if you wanted, or even a gel pen to fill these in if you'd rather, instead of using a 3-color blend with colored pencil. I mean, there's lots of other options. You could use a fine liner, you could use gel pen, stickles, whatever you choose. Okay, and now just dust that off. I think I got something on there. Let's see. Okay. Alright, so there's that. And the last thing that we have around our border that we haven't done yet is, let me try to adjust the camera. Sorry. This little, like, thing there. I'm not sure if it's what exactly that would be called. But for that, we are going to use ginger snap, Cuban sand, and hay. So I'm going to take my ginger snap, and where it meets the middle section here, I'm just going to put a little bit of this ginger snap. Again, this is very small, so we'll just do our best. And obviously, like I said before, if you don't want to use all 3 colors, of course you wouldn't have to. This is the Cuban sand. I'm just going over the ginger snap. And then lastly, I'm going to use hay, and I'm going to give that one a little sharpen. Okay. And I'm going to use this hay to blend all this together and fill the rest of it in. Just like that. Now, I'm going to take the ginger snap, though, and I'm going to go along the center of this and try to darken that just a little bit more. And there you go, just like that. Right. So now we'll move on to her head, finishing her headband here, which is the tile blue, ceramic, and dusty aqua again. And I'm doing the middle section in this color combination, and I'm putting my tile blue along the outside lines here and fading that up. And the same here along the outside edge and fade down. And then a little along here as well. Okay. Now go over that with the ceramic. And lastly, over everything with the dusty aqua. Okay. And then for the little skinny bands of little skinny bands on her headband, going back to my color combination for her dress, and I'm going to take the bell flower for her dress, for the flowers, the color combination for the flowers, and I'm going to take the bell flower and put a little bit here and fade it, and along here and fade it, and do the same for this. And then cyclamen over top of that. The moonlight mauve. And finally the sweet lilac. We'll give this one more real quick twist in the sharpener since this is such a small, skinny little section. I'm just going to go over the whole thing with that. Just like that. And there is her headband finished. Okay. So now what we have left is the castle, the water, and her dress. So I think we'll do the castle first because we can get that done fairly quickly. And then we'll do her dress and do the water last since the page will have to dry after. So for the castle, we are using taupe gray, vintage khaki, and oatmeal. Okay, and for these towers, I already did a couple of the towers to show what they'll look like. So for these towers, I'm just going to take my taupe gray with heavy pressure along the edge, and then fade that in. And again with this side, heavy pressure along that edge, and fade it in. And then where this piece comes over this piece, you'll want a little bit of this underneath of there as well. Just kind of like that, and fade that. And then vintage khaki. Move this slightly so hopefully you'll see more. Vintage khaki, go over that and extend it just a little bit. And then lastly, our oatmeal And with this one, we will blend everything together and fill in all the white of the page. Just like that. And I'm going to take my taupe gray and deepen this up along the edges. Just like that. Okay, and we'll do this section here the same way. Along the edge. Blend it in. And then along here, just a little. Then band of this taupe gray. Yeah. Now vintage khaki. Go over that. Bring it in even further. And fade it. And lastly, our oatmeal to go over everything. Like that. Taupe gray. Back along the sides. And along there. Just like that. And then for this part, I'm going to go along the edges and at the top. And I'm going to put some along here and kind of fade it. And then I don't know if it'll show on camera or not, but the artist has a line drawn here. So I'm also going to take this taupe gray and just lightly put some of it right there, just to kind of show where it comes down and then kind of curves out. And then we'll go over everything with our vintage khaki and extend it. And then lastly with the oatmeal and fill in the page, the rest of the white of the page. Okay. And take our taupe gray and go back in and deepen that up. Okay, and then there's two little places here that come out. And I'm just going to take my taupe gray and straight color that in, because there's really not enough room to try to blend in that. I mean, you can try, but I'm not going to bother for this time. Now this section here, I'm just going to take my taupe gray where it meets this tower and fade down, and then where it meets this tower, fade up, and kind of along this edge here, maybe a little bit there, and then here, fade down, kind of like that. Then I'm going to take my vintage khaki, go over that. Okay, and lastly the oatmeal to fill everything in. And take my taupe gray and darken some of this up even more. Just like that. And there there's our castle. Okay, so I'm going to bring you back out a little. Okay, first of all, let's see what we have so far. I think she's looking very pretty. And now we will tackle her dress. And that, again, is the tile blue, ceramic, and dusty aqua. And I've already done the back right here. So now I'm going to do the front of her dress, the sleeve, and then finish this in here. For these little flowers, as I'm sure you can tell, I just went around and colored them in with the colors of these flowers. But okay, so we're going to take our tile blue. Zoom you in just a little, but not completely. There you go. Take the tile blue and go along where her arm is. And down. And then fade that out. Just like that. And then go over that with the ceramic. And then over the whole thing with the dusty aqua. Just like that. And then let me grab the colors of the flowers again. Okay, I'm not going to use all 4, but for this this section in here, where it looks like it would be kind of like lace with flowers on it, I did a little section of this off camera. So the way I did this was I took my Moonlight Mauve. I don't know if you can even see that. And my Sweet Lilac. And with the Moonlight Mauve, I went along the edges here and faded in. And there's many other ways that this could have been done. I could have done it to try to make it look clear, see-through, but this is just how I chose to do it for this one. Okay, and then I'm take my Sweet Lilac, go over that and fill in the rest. And then lastly, I took my Tofu again, which is one of the colors we used on her skin. Took my Tofu and went over all of that to lighten it up. And make it seem like it could be more see-through. Okay, and then over here I also went along the edges of it with a white gel pen, and when I'm done with the rest, that's what I'll do here. And where these dots are, I'll probably add some stickles or something. But that's that part. Now, for her sleeve, what we're going to do is we're going to alternate these little bands or stripes. So with the top one, we're going to do the tile blue. along the edge. And give me just a second, guys. Okay, sorry about that, guys. My son needed me for just a moment, but I am back. I'm gonna zoom you in a little bit further while we work on these stripes here. Again, with the tile blue, heavy pressure and then fade in. Then the ceramic will go over top, fade that in. This is going to probably be a really long video, so we've already been filming for about 50 minutes. Okay, and then Dusty Aqua. So I hope that doesn't bother anyone. I just wanted it to all be finished in this video. And I still have one more part to film for the Rita Berman page, and I'll be filming that next. Okay, so we're going to skip this section because that's going to be the pinks, and then we'll just repeat the process here. And then I put a poll up. It's been well over a week now, asking which artist you all would like to see a color along from. And Kirby Roseanne's was the clear winner. So I'm going to be doing a color along out of Mythic World coming up soon, so keep an eye out for that. And then when we finish that, because it was Joanna Basford was pretty close behind Kirby, I think we'll do a page out of Rooms of Wonder. Okay, and then next we are going to use the Dusty Aqua and go over. I'm going to turn this page for just a second. I'm sorry, you all. I normally try not to do that to you, but just going to make things a little bit easier for me at the moment. I'm going to fill this in all the way across, just like that, and dust that off. And then these other sections that we left, we're going to do with our pinks. So, Bellflower. And I'm going to do it the same way. Heavier pressure at the edges and fade it in. I like to, I don't know, my style of coloring, I tend to like to use a limited color palette. You could always add more colors in if you choose. This is just what I prefer to do. Okay, next is the Cyclamen. And then the Moonlight Mauve. And Sweet Lilac over everything. Okay, just like that. Brush off the dust. And down here on her sleeve, at the bottom here, I'm going to do this one with the pinks. And the same way that we did those bands up at the top. Sorry guys, I'm just trying to make this not be super long. And the Moonlight Mauve. And lastly, the Sweet Lilac. this, the rest of this, it's going to be our blue combination. So our tile blue, I'm going to go ahead and finish the bottom of the sleeve first. Tile blue. Ceramic. Dusty aqua. Fill that in. And then for this puffy part of the sleeve, I'm going to take the tile blue along this edge. And this edge, just a little bit, not a lot. We don't want this to look exactly like the dress. I'm going to try to make this look a little bit more muted. Hopefully kind of get the idea that it's blue, but it's see-through. So I'm just taking this tile blue around these lines. And then, where's my brush? And then around here. Okay. All right. Okay. Next is our ceramic, and again, just go over this just a little bit. We want most of this to be the dusty aqua. And then we'll probably go over top with the tofu as well. But yeah, just bring this color in just a little. And down in here. And along there. And going straight over top of these little, where the line work was, and we put that tile blue. Okay. And I'm going to come along here too. Actually, with the ceramic, blend it down. There we go. Now our dusty aqua. Over top of all of that. Sorry, normally I would take my time a little bit more, but I'm just trying to get this done so we have time to do everything before we leave. And next is the tofu. So with the tofu, we're gonna go over this whole thing with medium to heavy pressure. We're blending everything in. And it's blending the colors in together. It's also lightening them up a little bit and making that look more milky. Kind of as if it were like a light blue lace. Okay. And I'm going to go along these, the line work with my white gel pen, just like here. Oops. Maybe about time for a new one. Actually, let me try my Posca. Let's see if I can get that to work any better. Okay. And then along here. Oops. And along the front. Shake this in their shape. And along some of these lines. I think you get the point. I'll finish that off camera. But that's what I'm going to do with all the line work there. And we missed one little section here, which we are going to do in the pinks, I believe. So bellflower along this edge, blend it in, and along this edge, blend that in. And then cyclamen, go over that. Moonlight mauve. And lastly, the sweet lilac. Just like that. Okay. And the last thing we have to do is our water. And so for that, I'm using my set of CSY handmade watercolor paints. Again, and I'm going to use this blue right here. I feel like that looks most like water of all of these. So I'm just dropping a little bit of water on top. I'm gonna let it sit for just a second. And like that activated. And then we'll fill this in. And then something else I did off camera, which I'm not sure how well it picks up, but before, if you've watched all the videos and if you remember, this was a solid blue pastel background done with the Rubens, Paul Rubens soft pastel. Well, while I was off camera, I decided I wanted it to look like there was some cloud shapes in the background. So I just took my eraser and freehand erased some shapes to kind of resemble clouds. So it gives it a little bit of something in that background. And not just a plain blue, which, I mean, you could leave it plain blue like it was, but yeah, that's just what I chose to do. All right, so we're gonna take our paint and come in here, go around these bushes. Make sure you can see. I love these paints. They're very sparkly and shiny. I really do love them. And just like that, we have water. All right. So I'm gonna let that dry. I may go in with the second layer off camera later after it's fully dried. But I'm going to zoom you out so you can see our finished product here. Whoops. And there we are. And there, see all that sparkle and shine? And there's our finished image. I really love her. I love the way that this has turned out. I hope you did too. If you like this video or videos like these, please leave me a thumbs up. It really does help out the channel. It helps YouTube tell other people that they may want to take a look at this video. If you have not done so already, please consider subscribing to the channel. And leave me a comment down below to let me know if you have these pencils or this image or both, if you're coloring with me or not, or anything else at all. Until next time, stay safe and happy coloring. Bye, guys.